The cost of nitrogen fertilizer is rising while the U.S. economy is taking hits. The high demand is driving food prices up, and farmers are worried about what the future holds for them. In today's video, we're going to discuss the increasing fertilizer prices. The North American fertilizer shortage has sparked fear for higher food prices. What could this mean for farmers? Let's find out. First up, farmers' expectations. It is unfortunate to say that nitrogen fertilizer is seeing a global shortage due to the high demand and the low supply. Due to the soaring prices, hardworking North American farmers are trying to delay the purchase of nitrogen fertilizer till the price goes down. In an effort to decrease their expenses and to reap a better profit, they will definitely raise the risk of scrambling to spray the nutrient-based fertilizer before planting season. Farmers apply nitrogen to increase overall crop yields. With the use of the nitrogen-based fertilizer, it boosts the amount of yield when it comes to corn, canola, wheat, which in turn means an overall greater yield of meat, poultry, mutton, and eggs, and bread. If the prices of fertilizer stay the same, it could mean that the price of meat, poultry, eggs, and bread will rise higher and higher. The prices of food worldwide have hit a 10-year high in October, and things aren't getting any better, according to the UN agency. The unstable economy isn't making things any better, paired with the increasing prices of cereals, fruits, and vegetable oil and crops. How did it get to this? Things haven't been so great in the U.S. as many natural disasters came out of nowhere and affected the country in terms of fertilizer production. The unexpected snowfall in Texas led to an Arctic blast in February. This was followed by Hurricane Ida, which served to be the second most destructive hurricane in U.S. history. Both natural disasters paired together made for a bad time in terms of food and fertilizer production, as fertilizer production was gravely affected. If you thought things couldn't get any worse for the agricultural sector, then you guessed wrong, as this was followed by a shortage of natural gas in Europe. Natural gas production and yield has been gravely shortened, and with the immense decrease in yield and supply, the demand has drastically gone up, which is correlated with a drastic increase in natural gas prices by weight. Taking all these factors into consideration, the price of urea went up significantly as well, as it has topped off at about $1,000 a ton. This is the first time that the price of urea has been driven so high and has been a major factor for causing nitrogen fertilizer prices to go up, according to the BMO Capital Markets. Russia and China have also curbed the exports of urea, which is used as a raw material for nitrogen fertilizer production. Next, comments by retailers in the agricultural sector. Keeping the current situation of the prices of nitrogen fertilizer in consideration, Daren Coppock, CEO of U.S.-based Agricultural Retailers Association, stated that nitrogen fertilizer is predominantly used to be applied on crops before winter. The use of nitrogen fertilizer before winter significantly reduces the workload that the farmers have to deal with when spring comes around. A Canadian wholesaler commented on the hot potato of the situation. They said that waiting till spring is kind of stupid, considering many of the farmers won't be able to get their hands on the fertilizer. While the demand explodes in spring, it'll surely drive the prices up once again. If you can get your fertilizer now, make sure to do so. Before the nitrogen fertilizer crisis, MKC, a Kansas farm cooperative and seller of the fertilizer, used to take advance payments for nitrogen fertilizer and made deliveries for months down the road to many farms within the region. Now, MKC has had to go back on their policy and has scaled back prepaid sales due to the soaring prices, severity of the situation, and out of caution. MKC's director of retail fertilizer, Troy Walker, has been quite worried at the current circumstances that many farmers have to face. In an interview, he said that he doesn't know what the prices are going to be exactly, and this has put a lot of retailers operating all throughout the country in a really tough spot. While many farmers have decided to wait till spring, one farmer has decided to go in the opposite direction and pay the price for the fertilizer. Jim Zimmerman, a Wisconsin farmer, has decided to buy all of his fertilizer for spring very early. He said that things could get worse, and instead of waiting for the prices to go down, he's worried that the prices will go further up next year. And that could spell bad news for everyone involved in the production and trade sector. Lutrien Ltd., which is one of the biggest farm suppliers within the U.S., has been unable to secure its usual amount of nitrogen fertilizer for deliveries in the spring. When questioned, they stated that manufacturers have driven down nitrogen fertilizer production substantially, which has made procurement even harder. They further affirmed suspicions by stating that sales are more likely to occur in spring. UAN suspicions and soybean suggestion. While nitrogen fertilizer fertilizer prices have gone sky high. One of the most easy-to-use versions of the fertilizer has faced a major shortage in the U.S. Ammonium nitrate, a liquid nitrogen fertilizer which is easily sprayed on crops, has been unavailable for purchase by U.S.-based farmers for a while. The U.S. International Trade Commission has been quite skeptical of the UAN shortage worldwide and has decided to conduct an anti-dumping investigation into the suppliers of UAN from Russia, Trinidad, and Tobago. This request was made by U.S.-based producer CF Industries. While the planting of soybeans might reduce the need for farmers to use more of a nitrogen-based fertilizer that everyone's dying to get, but waiting patiently for, many of the farmers aren't planning to do so as they consider it an ineffective and time-consuming alternative. Food prices have already been up by 30% worldwide this year. The rising prices in the fertilizer industry does nothing but guarantee the fact that they're going to keep going higher. While there are a lot more reasons as to why the price of consumer goods such as food are going up, such as surging energy costs, supply curtailments, and trade policies, in the end, fertilizer prices are a great contributor to the whole scenario as well. Foreign policies. China has declared that they will cut down on the export of fertilizer until June of 2022. When asked why they're taking such a decision at a time when fertilizer is of the utmost need and urea is like gold, China had to say that they were also concerned about the worldwide shortage of nitrogen fertilizer, but due to the impending food security concerns, they had to ensure that fertilizer was domestically available as China hosts around 1.402 billion people of its own. Following China's policy, Russia made sure to impose restrictions on the exports of nitrogen and phosphate fertilizer for more than 6 months. The restriction policy was imposed as of December 1st, 2021. Despite the current circumstances in regards to nitrogen fertilizer costs, the increasing price of natural gas and urea fertilizer prices, it seems that the price of urea is expected to decline marginally within the first quarter of 2022. The price of DAP is still considered to remain exceptionally high for the first quarter of 2022, but in the event that China decides to relax trade restrictions on raw materials for fertilizer, the prices might go down. The disruptions in supply have caused a surge in MOP spot prices, which have caused a big divergence from the decided contract prices. Prices are predicted to surge even further in 2022 following the increase in spot prices. This will cause further intensification of supply disruptions, and environmental policies will significantly increase the restrictions on fertilizer use. Now, farmers are trying to delay the purchase of this quintessential fertilizer. This greatly decreases their overall efficiency and ability to cope with the workload. They'll have to scramble for supplies during a time which is supposed to be the biggest time of the year. The sales of nitrogen fertilizer were at a global high of $53 billion in 2020. Prices have been 80% higher than before, which is worrying farmers and economists. The delay of fertilizer purchases up until spring has very high risk. It risks the supply chain congestion as farmers will hurry to apply fertilizer in plants in what is a very small time frame. While everyone tries to scramble for fertilizer and get it on their crops, it's highly likely that some people's crops will go uncovered, causing hard-working farmers time, effort, and patience to go down the drain. The U.S. fertilizer shortage is somewhat of a debacle for farmers as they're hoping to buy fertilizer in spring. We hope things settle down with fertilizer prices normalizing, food prices becoming stable again. That's all we had for you today. Please make sure to like and subscribe and turn notifications on. Till then, see you next time.